Welcome to Find the Connection, the podcast where we explore the history, development, events, and stories that make Northeast Florida so inviting. I'm your host, Kendra Robertson, a real estate professional, community leader, wellness ambassador, and proud resident of Jacksonville Beach for over 30 years. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories of the people that are making a difference, both at a local level and nationally. We'll share an inside look at real estate with tips for maintaining work-life balance, from winning your mornings to winning your day, all while staying connected with our vibrant local community. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's find the connection between community and living your best life. So today I have Mark Dilworth with me. He was the team leader with Keller Williams in the Northeast Florida area and kept that whole area at top of the sales, right? For like 15 years.
We did well. That's true. Yes. I'm proud of it. We did do well.
So what was the actual figure or title, top producer in region, the Keller Williams Atlantic Partners office?
Yeah. I think how would I say this? One, and let me be crystal clear here. That's because of a team. We had a tremendous team most of the 15 years that I did the job. It was a tremendous team. So when you look around and you look at the different awards, if you walk through the office, some of them are now in the cabinets and different things like that. Market Center, or for us, that's Office of the Year, several times. Top market centers. How do I say it? Just about everything you can win, we won. And that's because of a great team of agents. That's because of a great team of a leadership staff. That's because, certain things play in our favor in Northeast Florida. So there's a lot. There's a lot. Like anything else, that any entity that has success, there's multiple factors for that success. And we were certainly no different. But it was a phenomenal run, one that I'm very proud of. Yes. Thank you.
And since then, you have stepped down from that role, right?
Yeah.
And on to new adventures.
Yes. So it's been 9 months now because the official retirement date was 12/31 and just a little bit behind that. Prior to October of 2024, prior to that, I'd already thought about it. And in October, I gave Steve, Steve Tufts, who was my boss and also partner, that it was probably time. And he had said, "Hey, how long do you want to run it out?" And I said, "Let's go until the end of the year, December 31st. And that was when I went ahead and retired. But that wasn't before there was a lot of soul searching to say, hey, what's next? Because retiring from that position, great, all good. But I knew I wanted to do something else. I wasn't sure. So it took some time to figure that out. And there was twofold. It was figuring that out. And then also who was going to be my replacement. It was important for me not to just leave, make sure we've got somebody that I felt was very, very capable and talented that the agents would gain a lot from. So those were the two things that had to happen. The first thing with respect to finding out what it was that I wanted to do, obviously Lisa, who but Lisa's my wife, we had a lot of communication. And one day it kind of all came together. Lisa has run a bookkeeping company now almost 4 years. And I said, what if I helped you? And she didn't frown. She didn't do anything. She said, yeah, let's do it, in the sense of what we really want to do, Kendra, is the kids are 24 and 22. So and you've heard this story before, they're out of the house. They still need mom and dad a little bit, but they're out. And knock on wood, we don't have any grandkids coming anytime soon, although we do want them. But now's our time. If we want to go, and when I say go, I mean really travel, be gone for not a week, but be gone for 3 months. Because in the bookkeeping world, the majority of the work is done via QuickBooks. And as you know, we're both early risers. You're an early riser. I'm an early riser. So if somebody in Jacksonville had questions and we were in California, we're still up at 5 a.m., but it would be never I get a call at 8 a.m. in the morning Eastern time. But if we did, we would be fine. So, we really have a goal to get this where we want it to be, which it's growing wonderfully well. And there's a couple of physical things coming up. I've got a knee surgery, total knee on December 8th. So we've got to rehab from that. But right around March of next year, we want to do some traveling and we want to have the business where it is, where it fits, and we're good to go. So that was the first thing. Check that box. Took a little bit of time. And then the second thing is I had interviewed Joe Newton, who you know. And the first time I sat down with him, I'm like, oh, wow, this guy could be the guy. But he played hard to get for a while, which I wanted to upside the head, but I was patient. And so he finally saw the light and said, yes, I'll do it. And I think you would agree. He's been a wonderful addition for our office. So those were the two things that I wanted to make sure happened. And they've come together very, very nicely. So that's where we are. That's where we are.
And I think that's what I admire so much about you and Lisa is that you have a plan. You've talked about it. You talked the different scenarios, with you had said, your kids aren't at a grandparent stage and you want to be around for that. So to travel a little bit before they get to that phase. And as I am saying this, I'm waiting to get the call from my daughter who is pregnant, ready to go into labor in the next 10 days, So she's 4 hours south. I hope that I get to be as involved as I can from 4 hours away. So
I couldn't remember if you had or were very close. But
yeah,
I feel like I saw some sort of post that had something.
she's actually due Halloween. So we are the 20th of October as of this recording. So she's due Halloween. And I have two big Beaches Town Center events coming up. I initially thought I was going to not be here for the Fall Festival, which is this Wednesday. But it looks like I probably won't be here for the Tour of Homes, which is much bigger.
That's your thing.
Yeah. So I'm trying to put everything in place so that I can go when she goes into labor and be there for a week or two afterwards and be supportive.
That's tremendous. Congratulations.
Yeah. It's a fun stage. And I was 30 when I had Fiona and she's 30. So it's going to be 3 generations, 30 years apart, which is kind of cool.
That's great. That's great.
So yeah, I think one of the things that always struck me about you, Mark, is you're so intentional. And I wasn't. I was very fly by the seat of my pants, didn't really think 5 years ahead of me until I gave up alcohol. And really, I mean, you were part of that beginning of me doing that, but it was also sitting down with you and saying, what do you want to do this year? What's your goals, And I think the fact that you've done that with so many agents over the years really, led to the success. But where in your life did you become so intentional? Was it the jujitsu? What was it?
No, it's easy. And by the way, going back to you, to have sat down with a lot of agents and done this, you are a star pupil. You are Michael Jordan. What you've accomplished. And I mean that with all sincerity. And I feel that way. Super proud of what you've done because I know how hard it is. When did I become purposeful or intentional? Very simple. And I hope this comes across right. But I was in real estate in 2007 and I had left a career in medical sales where I'd done well. And you've heard this before too. And then we come in real estate. I get in 2005. Great time. Worked out well. 2006 worked out well. Everybody says 2007 or 2008, but it was really 2007. You could see things were starting to slow. And then when I mean slow, for the people that remember, just about every industry was hit with it. The people that are much younger than us, they don't remember it. But at that point, Kendra, I went from making over $100,000 to that one year when I made $39,000. And you can't have a family of 4 and $39,000 and your wife's not working and all of this type of stuff. And where it hit me, and we talk about this in KW NextGen, where it hit me was, wait a minute, don't mean this in any way to sound sexist or anything like that, but I was the man of the family. It was my duty to make the money for the family. And all of a sudden, I was failing, and I just, like, it ripped my heart apart. And we had to move from our house in Atlantic Beach to 900 square feet with 2 kids and one big dog and 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, tiny little place. Lisa had to go back to work, and it got a lot more serious than that. It was at that point where I'm like, wait a minute, this can't be, this just can't happen. I just laid out that plan on what we talk about as a GPS, goal, priorities, and strategies. And I said, it can't be this. It can't. So it's that, Kendra, when like, I was ripped inside when my son came to me when he was a little kid and said, I want to play travel soccer. And he couldn't because I couldn't afford it. Like, I failed. I just totally failed. And that did it. That did it. And then from that point on, it was that, and it took, let's say, 5 years, but it was that where I realized, wait a minute, this does work. If you're serious about something, if you're purposeful about something and you lay it out and it's in your heart, it will work. It'll work. And that's the 2007 financial time is what did it. Because I wasn't before then. I mean, I worked out and I'd already started jujitsu and all that type of stuff. No, that's what did.
Yeah, the quantum leap, and you're a next gen instructor, and as am I, and we've taught a couple classes. I remember like explaining the GPS, like, if you don't know where you're going, or yeah, I mean, you gotta know where you're going before you can put the GPS in. And you were like, whoa, like that is so true.
It just, if we're not well thought out on that, it really, I told you the saying that really hit my heart too was fearing a mediocre life. I fear a mediocre life. And I read that one time and I just was like, good God, I'm not even leading a mediocre life right now. It's below, way below. And this isn't right for my family. So we had to work through it. There wasn't another option. It just wasn't going to
Right.
be. That's it.
Well, and my ex-husband was a real estate appraiser in that same time period, and he went a year without an income. And I was soccer mom, team manager, trying to get the discount. I was doing the books for the dance studio, just trying to keep my kids and all those different activities. So yeah, I totally get it. So
Yes.
in in your mentoring role, you've really been in a mentoring role towards agents, towards people in your office. You took on the KW NextGen. Explain that to someone who's not within Keller Williams, the KW NextGen.
Yeah, it was a program that was started by Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams, that I thought was great. Gary Keller went to Baylor University, and what he decided to do probably 15 years ago was he said, I'm going to bus a bunch of college students up from Baylor and tell them my story and what I've learned from it. And his story is one of, graduate from college, gets married, then right away, wife is cheating on him, gets a divorce within a year. His partner runs out of money. Gary has to buy his stocks. And then the oil crash hits out in Texas. And it was just a terrible time. And it goes into his efforts and his dedication in pulling himself up and getting out of it. And it was something that I'd seen in the 6-person perspectives, which is one of the classes that you know about in Quantum Leap, where I'm like, this makes total sense. It makes total sense. So again, because I applied those principles in my own life, I felt qualified to stand up in front of a room of young adults and talk to them about it. And so it is a program designed by Gary Keller that helps young adults, honestly, say it like this. I mean, they learn a bunch of skills they're never, ever going to learn in high school. They're never, ever going to learn in college. And they may not learn at home either. And it has to do with goal setting. It has to do with finances. It has to do with resiliency. It has to do with being purposeful. And it's just a program that both of us believe in a great deal. And there's nothing more rewarding when you get a group of students that are involved. And I remember one time I was teaching up in Amelia Island. There was a group of like 8 kids, and they were all sharp. and they were all engaged and no one ever touched their cell phone, and they were back on time from lunch. And I just remember, and I'm not a big poster on Facebook, I posted a group photo just saying, hey, no matter what we hear on the news, if this is the future of our country, we're in great, just great hands. And so it's that type of satisfaction. That all of that being said, my kids haven't been through it yet.
Well, I have shared it with my 22-year-old, some of the principles. I tried to get her to take it. It just has never really worked out with her schedule. But
Right.
I felt compelled to get involved in actually being an instructor because I've been working with teenagers in a volunteer way for over 20 years with all my Beaches Town Center events, like my fall festival that's coming up. I could not do that event without the Interact Club, the
Right.
Rotary Club. And it's been fun to see those kids, in the high school age. So Interact Club is high school, Rotarian is college, Rotary Club is adult. And watching them in leadership roles, they have a actually designated couple people that just handle our events. And
Right.
it's really, having watched my 3 daughters go through the Interact Club as well and learning some of those leadership skills, of course, being an event planner, like,
Right.
like we went to give Fiona her bridal shower and everyone's just like, you just make this look easy.
I think with the program though, Kendra, and I like some of this stuff, I never had it. And so when I did finally get it in February of 2009, however old I was at that time, 50 or whatever, I'm like, good God. Because, I told you before, when I was in college or after I graduated, I cared about flag football and softball at Wingate Park and then going up to ragtime. So, I certainly at that age wasn't purposeful.
Well, I think so I got into real estate after being in property management for 20 years. And I was trying to be more purposeful. And in that same time frame, I decided to give up alcohol. And one of the things that I looked ahead, I played the movie forward. If I don't make any changes, I'm not going to be any different 5 years from now, And in setting real estate goals, it's been really neat to see them happen.
Yeah.
Like to look back and go, okay, I did that. I accomplished this. I accomplished that. All right. Didn't quite do it this year. Let me, readjust that. I'm in the middle of business plan for 2026. And yeah, I can make all the plans in the world, but I have to execute it. But it is nice to look back and go, all right, I did accomplish that. And you can't do that if you don't write the goals down.
Well, you got to write them down, but like, so when I think about this, and this isn't the first it's the first podcast I've done since I've retired from Keller Williams, but the question I'll get are, when you look back on the 15, 16 years, what are the things that you're most proud of? And Kendra, it's your story. That's one of them. Your story, is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And so I look back on that and I learn and I understand why and how you did it. It's not some big mystery. And here it is. I mean, it is writing it down, but it's like what I said 5 minutes ago. It was in your heart. There was no other way. I mean, it was just going to happen. And that's why when I think back to 2007 through 2012, I'm not saying it wasn't hard, but that battle that people have, that wasn't there. It was just doing the work for you. I'm guessing. Yeah, you probably missed your IPAs the first week, 2 weeks, but then at some point, that drive inside, that desire, that to be this different person, it trumps everything. It won't allow you not to do it. And that's why when people do it and they sit down with you or they sit down with me, this is not some little okay, I've thought about it for 5 minutes. No, that's BS. That the minute it gets hard, you're quitting. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about something in your heart. And why is it in there? That big why that we talk about a lot. That's what it is.
Well, I remember when I I got invited to Mega Agent Camp, and I think COVID canceled it, so it went online. And that was my first exposure to the MAPS coaching program. And the coach that I had a discovery call with, he asked me, what was my greatest accomplishment? And I was like, I hate to say my kids, but I'm really proud of my
Sure.
kids. And he said, no, that is a perfect example of leadership, of doing all the right things to make sure they're independent. So
And more and more, we're finding out that maybe becomes a little bit more challenging.
it has. It's definitely, and I'm sure you're seeing it in your mentoring world because you're also taking that to a different lane, right? Aren't you starting a
Parents have to parent, and we have to keep that family unit. And if we can't keep that family unit, because my sister's been through divorce, you still have to parent. You still have to do it. And in saying all of that, we've lost that. And you've got, more so I'll talk about young adult males. You've got these young adult males that have no guidance at home. And with all due respect to all moms can't be dads, just like dads can't be moms, no matter how hard they try. And I give them all the credit in the world. But so that's the thing where if we could bring that together, I hear all this stuff and I'm like, no, just parents. And so in that, to kind of put my money where my mouth is, whatever, I started this group of young adult males, and I want to have guests, and I've had somebody addicted to porn come talk to me because it's so bad. And that's not coming from a guy that's been perfect, but it's just so bad and so prevalent and so easy. I've had somebody come in and who was a crack addict who has turned his life around and talk to them. So there's other people that I've had come into this group, and hopefully just plant a seed. That's it. Just plant a seed, just a little step. And it's great to see these guys interact amongst each other as well. So yes, it's been a little bit. We had some health stuff that happened a couple months ago. So we're getting through all of this, and then we'll get together again as a group.
so
Not for long though, because I
I
think country needs it.
I love the plant the seed, and you are very good at that in a lot of ways. But you're also really good with the follow up, touching base afterwards, continuing that path.
Thank you. I feel like over the last couple of weeks, some other things have happened, but health wise with me, but that we get that squared away, and then yes, we'll be back. But it's not hard to do, because if you're purposeful about it and it's important to you in your heart, you'll do it. Plus, they're great guys. Like, I got breakfast with one of them on Thursday. I've got actually right here, I've got what we talked about last time, and I want to see how he's doing. So yeah,
The follow up. There you go.
it's just, yeah. But again, it's like anybody else. Is it, I'm an analogy guy, and sometimes I throw silly stuff out there, but is it hard for Michael Jordan to play basketball? No, because it's in his heart. Is it hard for you? Well, that's not true. I'm not going to say that. But let's say, is it hard for us to be parents? No, because it's in our heart. That's
Right.
just in our heart. That's it. But again, I lift you up, Kendra, because more people need to know what you've done too. And
It's it is a whole new world. I just in the alcohol free, sober, curious world that we're in, because it has exposed me to a lot of different people throughout the region, the world, really.
yeah,
And in breaking through an unhealthy decade physically, figuring things out, I have realized it's consistency over intensity all day long.
totally. Great
You know?
call. Great call.
And you're very consistent with your daily routine.
Pretty much.
Is that include a gratitude practice?
It does. It does. Probably 5 out of 7 mornings, I drive down to the church. It's at the south side of Neptune Beach, and it's pretty early. And I talk about gratitude to God, and I write down the things that are in my head at the time. And yeah, I'm pretty good at that. It's just what gets your head right in the moment. That's what it is. It's
Mhm.
just so it's all part of it.
Well,
It's all part of it.
so you're a black belt in jujitsu. So was
Oh
that
yeah.
a youth thing, or was that like, when did you get into that?
Yeah, it was 2005, 2006. And it was simply because, again, in the previous career in medical, I traveled all the time. And I said, when I stop traveling, I want to do one of two things that you've heard of before too, is get a black belt in a martial art, which I did not know what that was going to be. And I want to learn speak Spanish. I've done well in one, not so well in the other. So I guess I'm not that purposeful. But again, it wasn't in my heart as much, because if it would, then I would have.
Mhm.
And that's just the way it is. So no, it started in 2005. It took jujitsu is a little bit different than most martial arts. It took, and maybe it's just because I'm slow, but it took 12 years to get the black belt. So it takes a long time. Long time.
Well, that's a whole nother community too, right? I mean, it's a
It
whole.
is. But it's so similar to life. That's what people, it's hard to relate this, but again, I'm recovering from a torn rotator and labrum from jujitsu. But so I haven't been able to roll in 8 weeks. But with that being said, there's something special about the group, and it's just a special, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's where I'm going right now. It doesn't matter if it's another school. Like I've never run into a jerk in 22 years or whatever it's been in
Mhm.
jujitsu, because you can't be a jerk, because you're going to get whooped. That's just what's going to happen. And you can't fake anything. And either you're going to do it. And if you do it, there is a winner and there is a loser. And when you lose, you have to give up to another person. You have to give up. And you have to realize that that person at that moment, based on where you were, depending on the hold, could kill you. Literally could kill you. And there would be
Wow.
nothing you can do about it. Nothing. And I'm not even trying to be dramatic in any form or fashion. So there's just a tremendous level of trust and um, camaraderie. And you get in these positions where you get big guys on top of you and they're all sweaty and they stink and you can't get them off of you. And you got to figure out how to get them off of you. It's just like life. And a lot of those big guys that stink,
Well, does that translate to just your discipline in other areas of life?
again, I go back to this. Here's what I go back to. What's in your heart? And I feel strongly about this. I feel strongly that I have to be able to protect my family. Now, if somebody pulls out a gun and they're 10 yards away, I'm in trouble. But at least I have a plan. And I think that it's important to be able to protect my family and protect myself. And by doing that's in not fighting. That's in saying, hey, Kendra, I don't want any problems. I'm going to turn around and walk away, but not as a man feeling bad about it, feeling like, no, that's okay. I don't want violence. I don't want any problems. And then my son has done it a little bit. I think it's on me to help guide my son to whatever it is. It could be something different than jujitsu, but can he protect himself? He wrestled in high school, which is great. I'd like him to pick up some other stuff. But I just think it's good. I think it's good that men can protect themselves. And I think it's really good for women to be able to defend themselves as well. So I'm a big supporter of it. Yes. Plus, I've given lots of my body to have a low deductible if you're going to do it.
Yeah, just the whole discipline. Obviously, not drinking, I'm able to get up and swim every day in the ocean. And
It's the crazy thing.
And this will be my fourth winter swimming through the winter. And I remember at one point, one of my daughters said, Mom, not everybody does that. And I was like, you're
Yeah.
right.
Only takes to.
Well, now I'm like kind of getting addicted to the cold water. I'm like, ready for
I
it.
could see that. I could see that. But so we got to tell them this just so nobody thinks that you're not being honest and I'm not being honest. So one of those very, very dark, windy, I remember it was windy and it was rainy and it was nasty. And I was at the church and it was dark, very, very, very dark. And this car pulls up next to me. And thankfully, since I'd taken jujitsu, I felt okay. And, but I am always very aware and very leery. So these two guys get out and they start putting on wetsuits. And I'm like, no way. So I just rolled on the window. I'm like, you guys, man, what are you doing? This is crazy. And then I asked these two guys who I did not know if they knew Kendra. And they're the guys that swim with you. So she's not lying, you guys. She actually does it. How crazy is that?
Well, that was a morning that I finally decided to take the day off. I think I'd had enough, it was like one of the only days in the winter, but it was funny hearing it from the other side. So it was Dawn and David, and they're saying, hey, we were like at the church because they were driving to the church to swim with the current at that time of year. And they're like, yeah, this guy's like in his car and he's rolling the winds. And I said, oh, and I knew like as soon as they described you, I'm like, yeah, that's Mark.
Well, did you talk about the no drinking thing? Go ahead. Go.
Just going into the winter last year, I remember my neck and my back was so tight. And all winter long, I didn't have that problem because I was cold plunging basically, for 30 minutes every day. Yes. Looking forward to that.
But it's funny you talk about the non-alcohol thing. So this was last week and I'm in this office, like I'm not talking to anybody. I got to get out. So I get out, drive north on Seminole. I'm going north on Seminole. Guy's coming down, like no shirt on. He's walking and he's not tall. He's probably 5'8", 5'9". I don't know if you know him or not. Guy is in crazy shape. And when I say crazy shape, I'm not all jacked up, like just lean and looked great. And I'm like, what the heck? So I go by him and I go all the way up to the circle because I'm just driving. I'm just out driving and I turn around. Now I'm coming south on Seminole. Follow me?
Yeah.
And he's going south as well. So I roll down my window. I'm like, dude, and he looks at me like, what is this? I'm like, you look phenomenal. Like, what do you do? He's like, well, I work out 3 times. And he goes, I walk an hour 3 times a week as well. And I'm like, okay, diet, what do you got? He goes, pretty strict, nothing crazy. I'm like, alcohol. He goes, no, for 17 years.
Wow. 17 years.
17. But I'm telling you, he looked phenomenal. Like, I was like, well, keep it up, man, because whatever you're doing looks good. And it wasn't a drug look. It just looked good. So this whole non-alcohol thing, again, I think it's got to be in your heart, where whatever's in your heart is more important than having, for me, that IPA.
Yeah. It was definitely health oriented. I was overweight, whiplash-induced headache. I gained a lot of weight, of course. Then it was a thyroid issue and a autoimmune disease and menopause, all that kind of stuff. But when I finally kind of got back to a normal weight, everyone kept saying, oh, you look so good. You look so good. I'm like, I know, I'm kind of back to normal weight. And they're like, no, it's not the weight. You're glowing. You are just so healthy looking. And it's true. And I wish I would have done it sooner.
But here's a question for you, though. Do you ever, like I was purposeful yesterday. We went up to Strings and, they had the Jaguar game early and they had special menu and everything like that. And I'm like, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to have a beer. And didn't have a beer. And so I felt good about that. I felt like I won. But do you ever get to a point where it's like, okay, what's next? Like the good feeling of, I whooped this, I conquered it. So I've got my black belt. I feel great about that. A lot of trials, a lot of tribulations. But it's not like I wake up and think about it every day anymore. I think more, okay, well, what's next? Are you at that point yet with alcohol where you're like, okay, what's next? Or with swimming every morning, as phenomenal as both of those are, do you kind of find yourself ever at that next stage where you're like, okay, what is, who do I want?
I think that I've realized that life is in seasons, and I am in a season where I'm an empty nest. I have the time to work a lot if I need to or want to, and really, my girls are very proud of me for what I've accomplished in a short time with this real estate career, being a top producer within a year of going full time. They're very proud of me for getting my health under control. They love that I don't drink. I'm not, when they're home, not asking like, oh, mom, you said that last night. But yeah, I think for me, I think it's getting back into the gym to do like on a physical goal. I,
Okay.
I need to work on my muscle tone, on my muscle strength. And
Right.
I know I've done weights on and off for years. It's right now it's just so easy to roll out of bed, do my thing, go to the ocean, swim. I just work gets in the way. Like my sunrise swim, nobody interrupts it. Nobody needs me at sunrise. But when I pencil out a yoga class later in the day or, um, sometimes that gets interrupted by business, for as much as I try to set those boundaries. So yeah, I think the next goal for me health wise is to get back in the gym and really start
Yeah.
building that muscle. And I know that's important for long term health.
Okay.
But, work wise, I'm not anywhere close to being able to retire. So in setting that goal of, I'm 60 years old, I may be working for another 15 years or more. It's how do I get off the roller coaster of busy burnout, busy burnout, busy burnout? How can I
Right.
set some boundaries to make that realistic, but still have time to travel, still have time to go see my kids, vacation with my kids? And that's a challenge in real estate. It's a challenge to have a weekend off. It's a challenge to, unplug and not feel like you're missing out. I try to take a day off like a Friday and got a call and because I didn't answer, he went with another agent, and it's like
Yeah.
just one phone call.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wish I had the magic answer for you on that because I was an agent as well. And people would say, well, have a team, do this. I get all the things. And even as a team leader, sometimes I'd say them, but then I'm looking at it going, it's different when you're an agent. It's different. It's different. It's different when you're an agent and leading the office. It's not the same thing, not when it comes to that. And I think too, that's one of the things when you look at real estate agents that I wish more of the public knew. Certainly, we have done things, meaning we as a profession, to make people go, good God, that's disgusting. And I've felt that way before, like some of the stuff that we've seen and just terrible. However, I wish the public knew more about people like yourself and others that we've all worked with that are extremely talented, extremely sharp, and maybe sometimes they don't think, because I've been in both worlds. I've led a real estate, offices, and I've led a medical sales team that was very talented. But if you were to say, Mark, what do you have more respect for? The top people in real estate or the top people in the corporate setting? I'd be like, the real estate people. It's not even close because here's why. They got a salary, a nice one, by the way. You got Nathan. They got a 401k. You got Nathan. They got a company car. You got nothing. Some of them have a pension. You got nothing. And also, there, you could have a deal go till closing and it not close. So the resiliency that it takes to be a strong real estate professional is so unbelievable. And I wish that the rest of the world understood that at a level that I felt like they needed to,
Right.
because they
Or my
don't.
thing, when I was interviewing or trying to figure out which brokerage to go to, I really did leave Keller Williams for last. And when I finally walked in to the office with you, it definitely felt like home, but I also realized Keller Williams had training like no other. And then, of course, when I got into the MAPS coaching program and eventually, met up with Kimberly Gyrey, who created that whole Keller Williams wellness community. I mean, what brokerage has an ADHD clarity group for people in recovery and or family members or just sober curious? The subgroups that have come out of that. Yeah, just all the subgroups that have come out of that and the networking and the in a respect of clarity, my first family reunion connecting with people that didn't drink was wonderful. It was not having to, just connecting with people that other agents in the business that weren't drinking anymore. It felt like home base, like we just kept connecting all week long, and yeah, I know Keller Williams is always like coach to lives worth living, businesses worth having. And the Keller Williams Wellness Program is just a whole nother extension of that.
Yeah, I would agree. And I look at it and I still look back and go, you're most blessed by the people. When it boils down to everything, it's the people. You know what I mean? It's the people. And then the ability to see what you've done or see what others have done. Set back, look at these guys. They're actually taking it and running with it. And that's the thing. It's just not everybody. It's there for everybody. What makes it different that Kendra does it, but somebody else does it. And maybe they just haven't hit that time yet. And that's okay. I'm not being negative towards them. We've all got to have that moment, just like I did, where it's like, wait a minute, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. And it's that thing. That's why I just answered my own question. That's why, because sometimes it takes defining moments in your life to set you on that path. And if you haven't had a defining moment, a true defining moment, it's not there.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
It's just not there.
So is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want to share before we go?
I just wanted to make sure that a guy out there that I still continue to be and very proud of you. And that's not a brown nose. That's not anything. It's just the fact that I can look at you and gain a source of inspiration as well. Because I've certainly lowered significantly my intake of IPAs. I still enjoy an IPA. And I'm not where you are with them. And so I just respect it because I know what it takes. And I respect everything you've done to get where you are. And if your girls weren't proud of you, I'd be like, y'all, come on, get in here. We're going to have a little talk. We're going to have a little talk. So I miss these interactions with you. I miss these interactions with the people. That's the one thing that I don't get near as much of anymore. And I do miss it. And I certainly appreciate you asking me to come on this podcast.
Well, we will just have to be intentional on getting together a little more often. How's that?
There you go. There you go. Thank you, though, Kendra. I appreciate it.
All
and
right.
keep up the inspirational work, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Find the Connection. I hope today's episode gave you some helpful insights and inspired you to get involved in your community. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps others find us. And if you're interested in making a move or learning more about Northeast Florida, reach out to me anytime. Let's keep finding the connection together. Until next time, stay connected and keep thriving.